Hi guys, it's Joshua here, and today I'll be teaching you how to solve the Rubik's Cube faster using the CFOP method. Now, you might be wondering, what does CFOP stand for? Well, CFOP is an abbreviation of all the steps you do with this method. First you do the cross, then F2L, that's the first two layers. Then you do OLL, orientating the last layer, and then you do PLL, permutating the last layer. There are two ways of doing the CFOP method. The first is using a lot of algorithms, more than 70, to solve every step just with one algorithm. But you can also do an easier method, and that's for OLL and PLL, using a few less algorithms to solve it in two steps. We will call it 2-look OLL and 2-look PLL. In this video I will explain the 2-look PLL and OLL, but I will also explain a little bit of the extended part, so with more than 70 algorithms. And I will leave a link in the description with all of those algorithms, and maybe even make a video on it. Let me know in the comments if you want a video with all the PLL and OLL algorithms. Then I'm gonna make one. Let's crack on with the video, shall we? The first step is solving a white cross. We will use white for this video to make it a little bit easier, but you can do it with any color. Just make sure all these pieces connect up and you have a cross right here. Doesn't really matter which color, but just to make it easy, I'm gonna use white for this video. And then the second step is to make the entire bottom half and middle layer. And to do that, we are gonna pair up a corner to a middle piece and then insert them together. So in one move you make these two pieces appear in the right slot, and solve the bottom two layers really easily. So for example, you take this piece, so white, orange, blue. You need to pair it up with blue, orange, middle. So I will do that really quick. So as you can see, they are together right now. And then after that, you just insert them, and then you have these two pieces solved. And we are going to do that for every corner and slowly make the entire bottom layer. The basics to F2L are basically lining up pieces, because as you can see, the orange blue piece is right here and this corner is right here. So when you do this, you break the cross, but that doesn't really matter. But you connect up these two pieces, and when you move them out of the way and remake the cross, the cross is completely solved again, and these two pieces are connected. And then you can insert those pieces. And this is kind of intuition. There's not too many algorithms that can really help you. You just need to make sure you pair up two pieces. So I'll pair them up again. Then you move it out of the way, and then you just insert them into the cross to make the bottom two layers. At first, this will make you a lot slower at solving the Rubik's Cube, but you need to practice it a lot, and after you've practiced a lot, you will be able to solve it a lot faster than with the beginner's method. Trust me, Before I learned this method, I basically stalled at 1 minute, but when I learned the CFOP method, temporarily I jumped up again to 1.5 minutes, but after practicing a lot, I am now down to 30 seconds as an average. One really handy algorithm you can learn for the F2L is when the middle piece is already in its spot and the corner piece is with the white on top. What you can do is R, U, R prime, U prime, and then do this 2 more times. R, U, R prime, U prime, R, U, R prime, U prime. And then, as you can see, you've solved these 2 pieces. Now for the last one, I will just explain to you a bit. What you can do is, because these 2 pieces are connected but not in the right way, is to basically move the corner down into this spot. It's not oriented correctly, but doesn't really matter. And then if you turn the top layer again, you will have this piece basically connected like this. They are on one line, so you can connect them, move them out of the way to make the cross again, and then insert the pair. It's kind of a hard step, F2L. It's the hardest one of the entire CFOP method, but yeah, after a lot of practicing and a bit of intuition, I think you will be able to do this. I will make an F2L video in the future, but it's not out right now. Maybe it is when you're watching this, but not when I'm making this video. And then I will explain a lot more about F2L, but for now you'll just have to try a little bit, and I'm sure you will be able to figure it out. The third step to solving the Rubik's Cube is solving the top OLL, orientating the last layer. And that's gonna look a bit like this. So you have the entire top solved, all the yellow pieces are pointing up, but the rest of the cube is not solved yet. That we will solve with the PLL, permutating the last layer. And the algorithm you just saw me do, you will not learn with the 2-look OLL, because 2-look basically makes the cross on top first and then orientates the corners. But with the extended version of CFOP, so with all the algorithms, you will learn an algorithm like this, for example, and then solve the entire top in one go. So that makes it a little bit faster. But for now, you'll just need to learn only the algorithms to make the cross first and then orientate the corners. For making the cross on top, there are 3 possibilities. The first one is this, where you have 2 pieces solved in the cross. You don't have to look at any of the corners. They could be like this or like this. It doesn't really matter. You just have to look at the middle pieces. And when you have 2 like in an elbow shape next to one another, you're gonna keep them on the left and on the back, and then you do F, U, R, U prime, R prime, F prime, and as you can see, the cross on top is solved. The other case you can get with making the cross is when the cross pieces are like in a line like this, and you're gonna keep the solved pieces on the left and on the right, so like this, and then you do F, R, U, R prime, U prime, F prime, and as you can see, then the cross is solved. And the final case you can get is when you only have a dot in the middle, no pieces else. And what you're gonna do then is basically use one of the algorithms I just showed you. So you can do the F, U, R, U prime, R prime, F prime, and then you get this case, and then you do F, R, U, R prime, U prime, F, and then it's solved. But you can also do the FRU algorithm and then the FUR. Just use one of them and then you will get a case, and then you know how to solve that one. Then what you'll need to do is solve the corners. So all of the yellow pieces are pointing upwards. And to do that, there are two algorithms, one of which is for when the yellow piece is pointing forwards, and the other one is for when it's pointing to the side, if you look at the right top piece, so like this one. What you'll need to do is, if it's pointing forward, R, F prime, R prime, F, and then do that again, R, F prime, R prime, F, and as you can see the entire bottom is completely scrambled, but don't look at that, just turn U until you get a next corner that is unsolved, and when it's pointing to the side you'll do F prime, R, F, R prime, F prime, R, F, R prime. And as you can see, that corner is solved as well, and now the bottom is back to its original state. If it is in this case that the bottom is completely solved again, then you'll need to do an U move again to go to the next corner and do the algorithm again. This piece is pointing to the side, so you'll do F prime, R, F, R prime, F prime, R, F, R prime, and as you can see it's solved. Make a U-turn, this yellow piece is pointing forward, so R, F prime, R prime, F, R, F prime, R prime, F, and then the top is solved and the bottom is back to its original state again. The next thing you're gonna do is make the corners of the last layer appear in their places. So as you can see, these two corners are in the right spot, but these two need to be switched. They are not in the right place yet. To do that, you will look at the two pieces that are solved. So you can just turn the top layer a bit until you see that two pieces are in the right place, two corners. And then you will hold the yellow on front and those corners on top. Then you need to grip the cube like this, so your thumb is on the back. And what you're gonna do is R prime, D, R prime, U2, R, and then with your middle finger, D prime, R prime, U2, and then R2. And as you can see, now all of the corners are solved. You can also get a case where there's no pair of corners, so none of these corners belong together, and then you can just pick any side, so put the yellow on front again, and then it doesn't matter which side you take, and then you do the algorithm again. And then when you look around the cube, you will have two matching corners again, and then you can do the algorithm from there. Then for the last step of PLL, there are 4 possibilities, of which this is one. You'll have 3 unsolved middle pieces. This one is solved. You're gonna keep the solved one in the back, and you'll need to recognize which way the middle pieces need to cycle around to solve the cube. In this case, you will need the blue piece to move in front. You will only need to look at which piece goes in front, and in this case it's the blue piece, and the blue piece is on the right. So remember, it's on the right, because what you'll need to do is F2, and then turn the cube, the top of the cube, from where the middle piece was that needs to go here in front. So I just did the U, and then these 2 pieces are matching. That's really important. Then you'll need to do an M move, so the middle layer moves up, then a U2, then an M prime, so these 2 pieces go back, then a U, and then F2, and the cube solved. Then for the last step of PLL, there are 4 possibilities, of which this is one. You'll have 3 unsolved middle pieces. This one is solved. You're gonna keep the solved one in the back, and you'll need to recognize which way the middle pieces need to cycle around to solve the cube. In this case, you will need the blue piece to move in front. You will only need to look at which piece goes in front, and in this case it's the blue piece, and the blue piece is on the right. So remember, it's on the right, because what you'll need to do is F2, and then turn the cube, the top of the cube, from where the middle piece was that needs to go here in front. So I just did the U, and then these 2 pieces are matching. That's really important. Then you'll need to do an M move, so the middle layer moves up, then a U2, then an M prime, so these 2 pieces go back, then a U, and then F2, and the cube solved. But you can also get then the other version of this algorithm is when the middle piece that needs to go in front is on the left side, and then what you'll do is F2 again, and then move the piece over to the middle. So in this case it's a U prime, and then move the middle layer up again, so an M, U2, M prime, and now it's not an U to get the red solved, but now it's a U prime. You can see that it's on the left, so it's a U prime, and then you do F2 again, and then it's solved. The third case is when you have all 4 middle pieces unsolved, and these 2 pieces are switched, as you can see, so they are next to one another and switched. So that's really important for recognizing this case, that these 2 corners need to be switched like this. And what you'll need to do is hold a pair of those, so red and green or orange and blue, to the front and to the right, and then do M, U prime, M2, U prime, M2, U prime, M, U2, M2 U. And as you can see, the top is solved. Then the final PLL case you can get is when all middle pieces are unsolved and these pieces need to be switched, so they are opposite of each other. On the other side of the cube is this color. It doesn't really matter how you hold the cube for this case, you can do it on any side, but the algorithm is M2 U prime, M2 U2, M2 U prime, M2, and then the cube is solved. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you have any questions, make sure to leave them in the comments. I will respond to them as soon as I can. And make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!